We are Mike and Jeannie, and we restore old houses. In 2021, we moved to South Carolina and bought a 120-year-old Victorian house. Follow along as we put the polish back on this Victorian masterpiece.
Welcome back to 1834 Restoration House.
Jeannie is standing on her own 2 feet again. She's back.
Yes.
So we're so glad about that. Thank you for your thoughts and prayers.
Thank you very much.
Now, you'll notice the house behind us here. This is not our Victorian house that we're standing in front of. This house is owned by our friends Keith and Rebecca, and they bought this house a few months back, probably back in the winter or fall, I think it was. And they are planning to completely restore this house. And there's a family connection there that goes way back, which is kind of interesting. But this house was built, I'm thinking, in the 1920s. If you've ever spent time in a house that was built in the 1920s, they just have such a warm and friendly feel to them. They're absolutely fabulous. Unfortunately for this one here, it suffered the ravages of time and neglect. And they're working really hard to try to bring this thing back. And I gotta be honest, they have a lot more work on their hands than we do. So we're gonna take you around the house and show it to you real quick, and then we'll go take an inside tour.
Today's program is sponsored by the generous support of our patrons. Your support helps to further our historic preservation efforts. For more information, visit patreon.com/1834 Restoration House.
Like I mentioned, the ravages of time and neglect have taken the toll on this house. If you look up there, you can see a big gaping hole in the soffits. And this house has been like that for a number of years. Squirrels and raccoons have been inside there, and incredible amounts of rot and decay. And so they've been working hard to get the roof fixed. So you can see some brand new soffits, all the framing here on the porch, and a lot of it up there, probably most of it up there, is brand new lumber. That's really exciting because the structural integrity of the roof is now 100% good, and when they get that closed up, it's going to be great. It'll keep that house dry for many years to come. Well, the front of the house seems like a great place to start. These concrete steps are in perfect condition. They may have been replaced at some point in time, but it really doesn't matter because they're great. And the house has a brick exterior. Most of the brick pointing is in good shape. It's a little bit crusty here and there and probably could stand to be cleaned, but it's not that bad. And these stone caps here, they're a little weathered, but they still look good. Now, this is one of the defining features of these 1920s houses, is these beautiful entryways that they had. So let's walk up here and take a look. You've got these nice brick columns up here. Again, they're in great shape. Somebody painted them, and they're looking for ways that they can get the paint off of here. And so we're talking about, maybe exploring some dry ice blasting as a way to get this cleaned off without harming the brick. Now, what 1920s house is complete without a grand front entryway? This thing puts our house to shame, guys. I mean, come on, look at that thing. Carved medallion up there, all this grand woodwork. A lot of this paint's flaking off, but once this gets cleaned off and repainted properly, that is going to be fantastic. I'd like to draw your attention overhead where they have this beadboard ceiling up here. Now, this was really common here in the South back in the 1920s, way back into the 1900s and so forth. Our house has it. A lot of these old houses around us have it, but this is not done well. There are parts of it that have been cut out, parts of it that have fallen off. The paintwork is peeling off. It's just in really bad shape. And so a lot of that wood will have to be replicated and replaced, but that's easy to do. And when this is done, painted up nice, it's going to be great. Take a look at this pillar right here. See how the bricks are missing? You look at that and you think, well, okay, we can fix that. That should take hardly any effort at all. It's just basic masonry. But I was talking to Keith earlier, and he was telling me that when he was investigating this and taking a look inside, he found evidence of charring. Now, there is no other evidence or any history of a fire at this house. So what do you suppose would cause that? Well, his theory is maybe there was a lightning strike here, which charred whatever that was up there and blew the bricks out. It's a theory? Maybe. I just love these original double hung windows. They look fabulous. And with some cleanup and some repainting, they'll be as good as new. Now, look at the lintels below the windows. They look like they're made of stone. But if you look up there, you see that one's broken out. And if you look carefully, you can see that there's bricks behind it. So these were actually made of concrete and cast into place. Check out this crown molding up here. The original molding was in such bad condition it was completely unusable, but luckily they were able to find a piece that made a good sample, and so they took that to a cabinet maker, and he was able to make some tooling and replicate that and made a whole bunch of brand new molding that they're going to put up there. It's exactly identical to the original. These old 1920s houses, they're just so wonderful. They've got that characteristic square boxy shape and lots of glass. You see the window panes, they're 6/6 and very close together. Lots of natural light comes in here. It's really a wonderful space. Here's an example of some of the new woodwork that was put up. It looks great, almost like new, very well maintained. But if we swing over here and take a look at this section here, you can see how really destroyed this was before they started working on it. The first time they showed us this house, you couldn't even get in here. It was so overgrown. I mean, you had to have a machete if you wanted to get anywhere near this area. But look at that beautiful old door. That is incredible. They just don't make them like that anymore. You guys, I love this. Look at that. They've got a portico similar to ours, except maybe 20 years younger, but it's got a nice place where you can pull a car through, and there's steps leading into the house. But check out these twin ribbons of concrete that come from the street, and they continue here, and it looks like they've been digging a little bit and finding that there's more back here. Who knows how far it goes. Oh, the other thing I wanted to mention is the first time we saw this house, there was a deck that somebody had built here. They've removed the deck and brought it back to its original look. This is how it was when it was built. I mean, that is fantastic. Overhead, you can see this beautiful beadboard. I don't think that's original to the house, though. I think that it was actually a replacement for the original beadboard, if I'm not mistaken. But beadboard is still beadboard, and it looks great. You can also see this big beam right here. That thing's massive. Now, I love this porch. Look at this. You've got a door here, a door here. You go around the corner, and there's the front door, and it continues on around. They had lots and lots of doors in those days, and you could open those doors and let breeze go through. And that's how you could cool your house in the summertime, especially if you open the upstairs windows. Now, this is vinyl plastic. It was probably added sometime in the past 20 years. But can you imagine if this was to be replaced with some beautiful wrought iron or maybe some wooden railings? Look at this, a vintage wooden screen door, and check out this doorbell button. They don't make them like that anymore.
You've seen the outside. Are you ready to see the inside? Let's go in. There's a little entryway. It's cozy. Oh, look at that door handle. That's old. This is the living room. It's the first room you come into in the house, and look at how big it is. It's a very generous size. We've got some beautiful big windows here, and over here we've got a doorway so that we can get the breeze going, and we've got a beautiful coal fireplace right here. Look at these, they have light sconce outlets anyway. They'll be putting light fixtures in there. That's gonna be beautiful, absolutely beautiful. They have the custom-made crown molding right here. Isn't it beautiful? They did a fantastic job. Wow. Right next door is the dining room. These doors go to the bookshelves that are over there, which we'll get to in a moment. First, I wanted to point out the wainscoting here, and it's got a little shelf. I just love this. This is beautiful. We've also got light fixtures right there on the side. I like the light fixtures on the side like that. That just gives it more ambiance in the room. Absolutely beautiful. So we've got a bookshelf on either side of the fireplace. This is another coal fireplace. Very nice.
It's quite possible that many of you have never looked inside a plaster wall before, but here it is laid bare for the entire world to see. So here's your stud. This is called lath, and this is actually thicker than normal. It's probably 3/8 of an inch, and I think normal lath was maybe 1/4 of an inch, but this is good heavy-duty stuff. And then the base coat of plaster would be applied to this, and it would squeeze into the cracks between the boards, and then it would harden there and fall down. You can actually see it here. These are called the keys, and this is what holds the base coat on the wall. And then there's another coat called a scratch coat, or a brown coat that goes over the top of that. The brown coat sticks to the base coat or scratch coat. And then finally, if you want it finished, you'll put a nice white plaster coat over the top of that and make it perfectly smooth. But here it is. You might have seen these in haunted house movies, but that's what that is. It's lath and plaster. A lot of the floors in this house are in fantastic condition. This is oak, and it looks brand new. I mean, it is beautiful, aside from the fact that it's all dusty and dirty. That can all be cleaned off, but when this is done, it's going to look fabulous.
From the dining room, we go into a butler's pantry, and look at this swinging door with the wavy glass in here. Isn't that cool? In the butler's pantry, we have a built-in cabinet behind the door. We've got beautiful windows. And then on this other side, we have another swinging door going into the kitchen. And it also has the wavy glass. That is pretty cool. The kitchen is kind of big, but it's kind of awkward because there's some bump outs over here. Check this stuff out. Right up here, you can see a vent where the wood cook stove used to be. In this pantry, there is also a built-in cabinet, and it goes quite a ways. And then there's more storage way up high. I got a lot of storage here. In this space, this is a pretty good sized pantry. There are shelves all the way up to the top of the ceiling. It's about a 10-foot, 12-foot ceiling. There's even shelves right here above the doorway, several of them. It's a lot of storage. This is great, very great. A glass knob. Oh, aren't these beautiful?
Let's go check out the back room here. This is a screened-in porch. Come on out here and take a look. It's hard to tell whether this was originally closed in or not, but it's a great little space here for storage and utilities or whatever. We've got a couple of old cabinets here. This apparently was a doorway at one time, which has now been converted into a pipe chase. But guys, check this out. Remember at our house, we had this flip-up lid with asbestos, knife switches, and fuses. Well, here you go. Asbestos, knife switches, and fuses. Here's your main power right here, fuses. And this panel here, which I'm touching with my finger, is covered with asbestos. Good stuff, man. Here is something that I wish that our house has. This house has it, and it's awesome. A spooky basement. Off of the butler's pantry, we come into the central core of the house. In this space here, all of the rooms converge together in one small room, and the main staircase goes right up here. Remember that knife switch and fuses being the main power of the house? Well, not really. This is actually the main power, so that was one of the things that was done to this house to bring it up to date. Let's turn the corner into one of these rooms. Over here, come take a look. The family has some modern needs, and so what they did is they took this space here, which used to be a closet into the bedroom and a closet into the hallway, took out the wall, opened up the space between, and this will become a small half bath. And then coming back here, we have this incredible space. Look at this beautiful paneling. We know that this house was occupied by somebody who was a senior manager at a local business way back in the day. This was probably his office right here. But look at that knotty pine paneling. We've got shelves, cabinets. This might be a good place to set up a stereo with a phonograph and some vinyl. Yeah. A grand old house like this needs a grand old master bedroom. Come on, let's check this out. That is a neat old fireplace. It has a cast iron surround and a summer cover. But the one thing that strikes me right off the bat is this mantelpiece here. The lumber is like that wide. It's massive, massive, massive lumber. Just looking at this thing with its aged patina, I believe that this is probably much older than this house is. It's probably not original to the house and may have been added later just because of the way things kind of seem to fit there. It's still a neat mantelpiece though. This door right here, we saw this one earlier. So this is actually leading out to the side porch that has the portico back over here. What a great place to go if you want to have your morning coffee right out here and watch the world go by. Well, original woodwork, it's amazing. I'd like to show you the most amazing bathroom you'll ever see. Well, it certainly is one of the best examples of an original bathroom you'll ever see. Check out this 1920s bathroom. It comes complete with a 1920s bathroom echo. But check out the subway tile, white, and then it has the black tile banding around the edges. This old corner tub. But check out the hardware here. You got to come in here and take a look at this shower control.
Now that we've seen the whole first floor, let's go on upstairs. There is a very large landing up here. You could have a whole sitting area. It's beautiful. See what I mean? Look at how big this is. This is fantastic. You could put a couple chairs up here and just relax, enjoy the sunlight. Let's go check the other bedrooms. Well, we won't be going in this room yet. There's no floor. It looks like it was a bathroom though. It looks like that's still what they're going to be doing. It's pretty nice.
Anybody who's ever thought that it would be fun to restore an old house, let me show you what the reality of it is. You may encounter something like this: busted up plaster walls, holes in the floors, pipes that go nowhere. I mean, these pipes, they literally go nowhere. They're cut off. I can see where they put a new gas pipe in there. I believe that there's a new furnace going up into the attic at some point. But my goodness, this is the reality of some old house restorations. This is one of the 3 upstairs bedrooms. It has a wood floor, which has been painted. And everything in here has been painted, the plaster, the woodwork. There's no telling if it was originally painted or not. I'm kind of thinking it may have been originally painted because I'm not seeing any shellac where the paint's chipping off. So that may have been the original look up here. I know that was done in some old houses just to conserve cash. But it's a good spacious room. It has high ceilings. And when this is all done, it's going to be beautiful. Oh, and did I mention that there's an old fireplace over there that actually could work? How about that? Before we go into the next bedroom, this section right here had a really bad roof leak. And so for a lot of years, water was just coming in here and it pretty much did a number on the plaster. And this here, this wood feels punky. It doesn't feel good and solid, but it may be good enough to save just because it's trim. And there's just a lot of decay up there, so that will have to be dealt with. But let's come in here. This is the other bedroom. This room also has a fireplace. So far, every bedroom in this house has a fireplace, just like our house does. I think that's really cool. Actually, very warm. Here's a collection of square nails. I don't know if the house was built with these or not, but there's a huge pile of them here, and that is pretty cool. So we've got this door here, glass doorknob. It goes into this space here, which is kind of interesting. I believe this may have been either closets or maybe a small bathroom, but it's being turned back into a new bathroom, and the door that goes out to the hallway is being closed. And so once this is done, it'll be what they call a Jack and Jill bathroom, where the 2 bedrooms both go into the same bathroom at the same time. And this is finally the last bedroom in the house. There are 4 together, 3 on top, 1 on the bottom. And here again, we have this wonderful fireplace right here. Like I said, every single bedroom in the house has its own fireplace, and that's how they might have stayed warm back in those days. But we have found evidence that there was a radiant heat system in here. Radiators, boiler, that kind of thing. Here's a great detail that I almost missed. Look at this original leaded glass window. This one is in good shape. The other one actually has fallen apart, and there are pieces and parts of it laying over here in this bedroom behind me. So that'll have to be put back together. But wow, just the amazing details that are in this house that are preserved. And for the most part, there's been a little bit of renovation over the years, but very, very little. There's so much of this house that's still intact from the old days. Hey everybody, I'd just like to thank you for stopping by and watching our channel and coming along on this tour of this old 1920s house. A big shout out to our friends Keith and Rebecca for allowing us to come over here and film this. This project is going to take a long time, but when it's done, it's going to be incredible. Our house, which is a 1900 Victorian, is about a half a block over that way, and we've been working on that for the last couple of years.
Thank you for watching 1834 Restoration House.